Good morning, Well, this morning, Brown University remains under lockdown. There is a shelter-in-place order still in effect here at Brown University, as now we are at 14 hours into the manhunt for this person, a person of interest believed to be the shooter responsible for killing 2 Brown University students and wounding 9 other students while he opened fire in a classroom during final exam period. Now, this video shows the suspect dressed in black. He's walking calmly away from the scene, which is inside the Barris and Holly Engineering Building. Police do not have a clear image of his face, and they say he may have been wearing a camouflage mask.
He could be in his 30s, but we're not positive. That's our first inclination. He's unidentified, so we don't know if people may be helping him or not at this point.
Police have been evacuating students and staff from academic and administrative buildings within a specific security perimeter. Students and staff in residence halls are urged to stay put. The perimeter area is marked by red boxes on this map. More than 400 police officers are on scene as they meticulously work to canvass the area for evidence, looking for more video footage and to clear the area outside of Brown University. Though the mayor of Providence had this message for the surrounding community.
In the hours that have eclipsed since the initial shooting, we've received no additional credible information that there is any specific ongoing threat from this individual, and so we do not believe these events need to be canceled. We do believe you can safely go to church in the morning.
Again, as for a timeline of the events, at 4:05 p.m. yesterday, Brown received the initial call of an active shooter. At 4:22, Brown University issued its first alert to stay away from the area. At 5:27 p.m., authorities received reports of shots fired near Governor Street. Those reports were unfounded. Now, this shooting took place in a review session led by a teaching assistant in preparation for a final exam of Principles of Economics. The room has stadium seating. The shooter came in through the doors and yelled something, and students started to scramble. They tried to get away from the shooter, duck in their seats, but unfortunately 11 students were shot, 2 killed. The president of Brown University released a statement saying, in part, "We lost 2 community members today who were fatal victims of the shooting, and at this point we know there are at least 8 additional victims who were transported to the hospital. In this moment they are in critical but stable condition, but this is an evolving situation. Our hearts are with their families." And guys, the doors to the engineering building were unlocked because this is final exam period. We have no video of the shooter going into the building, and there is no video of the shooter inside of the building. The FBI is asking people to submit any photos or videos that they may have to the FBI.gov/Brown University shooting. And if you have any tips, call 401-652-5767. Guys.
Hey, Brian, you say that the school's still on lockdown 14 hours after. Does that mean that there are still students in place where they were 14 hours ago when the shooting happened?
That is, at this hour, plausible, yes, because the last update we got was just before 2 a.m., and that was a message that was sent to the university instructing folks that are in academic and administrative buildings, students and staff, to remain there until the police come and evacuate them. And it is now 6 a.m. It's possible that that evacuation is done, but we've received no word yet, and no alerts have been sent to the university community. So as of right now, those who are still in that perimeter area, in that security area, are urged to stay in place until they see police if you are in an administrative or academic building.
And Brian, as we look at specifically this engineering building, orient us a little bit on it. It seems pretty remarkable that there isn't more surveillance of this attacker getting in, and we have the map up on your screen, the Barus and Holly apparently engineering building. Is this sort of a center part of the campus that this individual is able to get into with relatively little surveillance?
Yeah, it is pretty remarkable that 14 hours in, that is the only surveillance video we have. For those who don't know, Brown University, it is in a neighborhood called College Hill. It overlooks Providence, Rhode Island, which is the city. It's right across the river, but the campus is really sprawling within an urban environment. So I think what the police here are doing, it is surprising that they didn't have video from within that engineering building showing this person going in or within the building itself. I think at this point they're asking folks within the surrounding community to take a look at their Ring cameras. Maybe somebody had a cell phone and saw something. I'm sure they believe, given the fact that this university is within an urban setting, that there's somebody with a camera somewhere that has a better image of this suspect, guys.
Brian, I don't want to belabor the camera situation, but I just want to make something clear. Is it that the university doesn't have these surveillance cameras inside or outside of the building, or is it that they weren't functioning?
You know, we don't know. And it's also possible that that this shooter, we don't know how he entered the building. We don't know if they potentially have more video within the last 6-7 hours since they had their last press conference. So we have no idea why this is the only video we have thus far. But we do know that there was surveillance video inside the building that caught commotion of students running for their lives, but did not catch, for whatever reason, the shooter. So that'll be something that'll be part of the investigation today.
So there have been varying reports that maybe the shooter said something before he began firing in that classroom. Do we have any information about whether any of those claims are true?
So the person who said that was somebody who was inside of that specific classroom. That is an eyewitness report. And they said that they yelled something, but they couldn't make out what this particular person couldn't make out what the gunman yelled. It is notable, though, that in a sprawling university community, knowing that the doors are unlocked, perhaps, and specifically targeting one classroom in a specific engineering building, I'm sure that is a big part of the investigation, that perhaps this may have been targeted. We don't know. But that is certainly a clue they'll be looking at.
And the yelling could have been in response to the appearance of the shooter.
Well, no, I'm sorry. There was yelling coming from the shooter. They just could not make out what the gunman was saying. Yeah.
Right. And just lastly, Brian, we know now the FBI, the ATF are there, presumably sort of in the lead of the investigation. Any indication that we may hear from any officials later this morning?
I believe there is a press conference set for 9 a.m. That may change, so we hope to get an update then. They also said that if they receive any real major news before then, we could hear from them. So that's important. Also, I will note that you mentioned the ATF. The gun used in this is reportedly a handgun, according to the Associated Press. You better believe the ATF is doing everything they can to trace that weapon, which should be a major clue in this as well.
All right, Brian Innes, live for us on the campus of Brown University. Brian, great reporting. Thank you. We'll check back in with you as news warrants.
Thank you, Brian. Let's bring in Brown University senior Ben Marcus. First off, Ben, we're so sorry for what you all have been through there, and the country prays for you all. Tell us where you were and what you saw.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I've actually been awake all night, shuttling students back and forth to their dorms, to their apartments from the gym where a lot of them were evacuated to. A lot of my friends who ended up sheltering in just random places needed rides back to their apartments, to where they're living. So it's definitely been a long night. I'm Sabbath observant, so I was celebrating Shabbat over in Hillel, and all of a sudden, it wasn't over yet. None of us were on our phones. The security guard at the Hillel building just leaped into action, and he said, "Everyone, upstairs. This is like really serious. There's a shooter." And luckily, a few of us had our phones in the building, and we sheltered in Hillel for almost 7 hours. A group of 30 students, if not more. And I just complete kudos to them and the Brown University team in support, just with keeping us all safe and very prepared with protocol.
Ben, I can only imagine what you and your fellow students are going through. One of the parts of this developing story that seems so remarkable to us, some of us who have parents in college, is that it appeared that doors may have been propped open, that the access to get in this building from this gunman seemed to be fairly easy. Is that a normal thing that this would be so easily accessible?
Yeah, I mean, most buildings at Brown, including the engineering building, are unlocked when students have classes. You just open up any doors, really, essentially, and you could just walk right in. And even when the building is supposed to be locked, the engineering building in particular, it's pretty common for it to be propped open with a chair. I know whenever I walk through, I always remove the chair. It's something I'm a senior. I've been doing for 4 years, but a lot of it's just something that ends up happening. And security wise, it's definitely not a good thing as evidenced.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're at a university. I mean, when we were in college, we could just walk in and out of classrooms. I mean, it's just sad that we live in a time where we do need to have these things happen. A couple questions. One, is it possible that maybe this person had access in and out because he was a student? Are we certain that he was not a student? And two, Brown's a really small university. You students know each other probably on a level that most university students don't. What are you hearing? And I don't want you to, think we're getting you to spread rumors or anything like that, but I know that the students are talking, particularly even with some that were in that area where the shooting happened. Is there anything that you've heard that stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of information about the shooter itself, we know as much as you do, really. We really have no updates on that. In terms of being in the room while the shooter was in there, I actually lost a very good friend of mine, was one of the two victims. I don't know. I've been up all night, like I said, so I don't think her name is public yet. But she was really, really special person, and just really, I mean, really amazing into creating dialogue and interfaith activities, and we'll really miss her.
I'm so sorry to hear that, Ben. I really am. I really am.
And she was a student there?
A student, a sophomore.
And as best as you can, how is the student body feeling right now, other than scared?
I mean, yeah, I mean, finals are, there were finals supposed to be scheduled today. There were finals yesterday. There are finals all week. And students are just terrified. There's no one in custody yet. People are worried. Can they leave their apartments? Should they go home? I know a lot of friends whose parents drove up from all over the East Coast to come pick them up last night and this morning.
Yeah.
We really don't know what to do.
You said that a lot of your friends that you were with at the time did not have your phones with you. Is there some indication that may be one of the reasons why there's so little video?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was I was in Hillel for the Sabbath, but a lot of people within the room itself, from what I've heard, when the shooter came in, dropped their phones and ran. So I don't know by now.
You mean they had them with them and they dropped them in the classroom and fled, as opposed to going in without them?
Correct. So everyone had their phones. So I'm not sure why there's no footage.
Ben, you talked just a little while ago about you as a senior. You remember going through this engineering building and the door being propped open. Do you recall at all if there are surveillance cameras anywhere on, in, or near that building in particular, in that area?
Yeah, I mean, there most definitely are. The building itself has, aside from being a space for students, has extremely expensive equipment in it. And there are security cameras around the building and around the perimeter. Now, if the security cameras work or not, I have no idea. I'm just a student. But I'm pretty, we don't know what exactly authorities are working with in terms of footage at this point. But based on the video that they released, if that's all they have, then this is pretty disappointing.
Ben, what are you going to do? Are you going to leave before exams are over? Are you just sort of traumatized and you just want to get home to your family, or are you going to stick it out and see what happens and how this unfolds?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a senior now, and I think all things considered, I think I have to go home and give my family a hug.
Yeah, understood. Ben Marcus, we thank you. Please know we're praying for you, and our hearts are with Brown University right now.
Thank you.
And stay safe, Ben. Praying for you and all of your fellow students.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.